Hey everyone, welcome to another Mastermind Advisor podcast with Josh Woodward and myself, Vince Oldry. And today we're going to talk about the 5 strategies to marketing and how I would implement my practice differently if I were to start all over. Now, Josh and I are going to go into the deep analysis of what works when it comes to marketing, and that's why we would implement these 5 strategies if I were to start over, but also talk about the things that I've tried that didn't work, so that way you can avoid those things as well. So make sure to tune in, listen to the whole show. And if you like the shows, make sure you follow our YouTube channel or follow our website. And if you need to go to our website, go to mastermindadvisor.com and you can find more information there about all the tools that we use. All right, let's tune in. Hey everyone, welcome to another podcast with Mastermind Advisor Marketing. I'm Vince Oldry. I'm with Josh Woodward. He's laughing at me because I'm wearing a sweet shirt today. My financial planning company, it says CFG Retirement Racing. And I have a cool catchphrase on it. It says, it gives a definition of retirement, but then it says the last definition is where every day we can go racing. So like the catch line now is always going to be like, when we go on our client boat cruise, it's where every day we can go boating, or where every day we can go fishing, or where every day we can go traveling, So that's my new slogan. Don't steal it. It's mine. It's trademarked.
Talk about a little self promo there.
It's a little
and
bit.
by the
It's
way,
not,
Vince is looking for sponsorship for his
yeah, do
race
you want,
team.
Click
the link below and you can.
You see that?
Yeah, we see it.
All right.
Yeah. Click the link below, guys, and feel free to Venmo Vince money, and he'll put your logo on his race car.
No, but today we're going to talk about the 5. Basically, we're going to talk about like if I were to start all over and build my financial planning practice again, how would I start marketing? If I were to start all over, because I did dinner seminars, I did, Social Security workshops. I've done radio. Technically, I haven't done TV. I've done SEO. I've done webinars, digital marketing as far as just like lead gen. So I've done a lot. And so today we're going to talk about the 5 best things that you can do for marketing. And if you were to start all over, where would I start to help grow the practice? We're to a tune of right now, we're already at 20 million this year for new assets. So that's a good run rate. I thought we were going to be a run rate of 36 million. I think we're going to go way past that. But let's talk about, what we would do first. And I think the favorite, what everyone talks about is everyone's trying to get in front of good quality prospects, right? And I think the best way to start is, especially because you don't have referrals and that kind of thing, I think the best way to start is actually doing seminars or webinars, some version, right? And that's because that's one way that we build rapport with people in front of them versus when I was doing lead gen, like I'm just chasing people. I don't really have a good script, making up a script as I go. I'm chasing people around. It's not fun.
Yeah, I think this would be a good webinar for like anyone even people that have been in the industry for a long time, right? They can kind of reset. But even like new guys, like I was talking to an advisor yesterday, he's newer in the industry, kind of just hired us, and is like just looking at what he should be doing. And so we kind of had this conversation, and just like your point, I think the best way to start is probably with seminars, right? It gets you in front of people relatively quick. You're closing business a little bit faster, and you're meeting people face to face. So you're kind of getting that practice with that rapport and all that stuff as well.
Yeah, your close time is shorter too. So like, going from seminar to meeting to being able to close somebody is much shorter versus, let's say, radio or something else that you start. Lead gen, you can. I was always told that you do 10 appointments or you buy 10 appointments and you should be able to close 1. Well, the lead gen that I did was more like someone saw something online, they filled out a form, and then they supposedly that marketing firm called them to confirm that they were interested, and then they wanted an appointment. And then it was sent to me, then I call them. But then the funny thing is, like, I don't know how they got a hold of them because I could never get a hold of them. like like the lead gen, somehow I always would have these conversations and it would mark down everything that they talked about, and then I could never get a hold of them.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the hardest parts with that kind of format. And obviously, I think when we talk about seminars too, it's like not dinner seminars. All right, we're doing. I'd recommend educational classes, right? Doing digital, not mailers. So you can typically do a seminar at a really low cost comparative to other sources, right? Paying per lead, chasing them down with your time cost, things like that. So, like, yeah, if you're starting fresh, some educational classes with digital marketing is probably one of the best ways I would think to get business through the door and kind of get the practice rolling.
I think it's the lowest cost. It's the most efficient, and there's a lot of reasons why. When we think about digital marketing versus mailers, digital marketing, we are able to capture a lot of data. When we are getting someone to sign up for a seminar, we were able to capture, do they come to the landing page? We'll capture their IP address. So we can do retargeting campaigns down the road if we want to. Let's say they just give us the email address and their phone number and they don't show up to the seminar, well, we can still retarget them down the road too. Versus with mail, we send out, I used to send out 10,000 pieces of mail, and we used to brag about getting a 1% response rate. And that wasn't a 1% response rate based on households. That was a 1% response rate based on how many people showed, which I always it's mind boggling to me, is because I don't, funny thing is when people measure, seminars on the digital side, they measure households. They don't measure, how many people were there. So it's like, well, wait a minute. It's what I don't understand here. Yeah, right.
Yeah. It's crazy.
But the thing is, so we send out 10,000 piece mailer. Well, there's something called I don't know what the technical term for it, but how many people are willing to buy, right? So there's 3% of people are willing to buy today, essentially, and then 7% of people are in the market, but they're not quite sure. Then there's that other 30% that aren't in the market, but they'll probably buy at some point. And then the next 30% are just not interested right now. Probably, hopefully they will be. So there's a timing factor, right? Then the other 30% just aren't interested at all, right? They'll never buy from you. So the interesting thing is with mail, we're only hitting that top 3%. And then at the same time, we have no idea of those 3% that did open it, how many of them thought about hey, I'd like to go to that, but that date doesn't work for me. Toss, right? Oh, I'd like to go to that, but that's not the right topic. Toss, right? Or I'd like to go to that, but I'm 3 months away. Toss. So the problem is we have no way of tracking that through mail. Versus with digital, we can track all that, right? I mean, as far as we can get their IP address, we can keep hitting them. We can tell Facebook to keep hitting them. When it comes to the IP address, we can also send them more emails, right? So there's some really cool things with the digital aspect where money goes a lot further than if we did mail. Now, today I still know a ton of people that do mail and they think mail is better and you can target better with mail. It's not true. Absolutely not true. The way that you target better with Facebook ads is the right topic. That's all.
It's key. I mean, this might be going too deep into the woods on mail versus digital, but it is funny when we look at that because it's I think I was talking to Vince in Florida about this as well. And obviously he does mail, he does dinner seminars. I'm trying to convince the guy to do these educational classes. I know he listens to this podcast, so hopefully this helps, but kind of a self push here. But it's just so funny because even with the webinars and all the other stuff we do, the cool thing with digital is if they click on the landing page, right, they showed interest. So you should take advantage of that. when we talk about mail, they open it, but how do you retarget that? They opened it, but I mean, I don't even know how you track open rates on mail. With digital,
Can't.
you can literally see the entire footprint of someone. Like even our system will show like they clicked the link on this day at this time. They went to this link at this time. They opened this email at this time, and you can literally see the timeline of each step. And so, like, again, this is probably mail versus digital now, but it's just funny to me on like the benefits of digital. One, it's cheaper, and I shouldn't say cheaper. It's more cost effective, and then two, you have the ability to take advantage of everyone that didn't attend or didn't even register, right? Didn't show, didn't set an appointment. You have the ability to retarget and like re-engage them, and none of those leads are lost. With mail, you send out 10,000 pieces. If you had a one response, like 1% response rate, what happened to the other 99%? Like, and you just can't take advantage of it with mail like you can digital. On a creepy sort of stat. So, Vince, if you're listening, I mean, you should just try class.
I'm listening. I know you're talking about different Vince, though.
Yeah, different Vince guys, not those.
Yeah. No, there's some truth to that, especially like I know we're digging deeper here into the digital aspect more so than on the marketing side of the seminars and the other things that work. But the reason why we're talking about it so much is because it does feed into the other things that do work, such as our webinars, email, SEO, like all that stuff. All of a sudden, like if you're doing any radio and TV, same thing. I think the cool part is with what we've built is that we can see the conversions, right? We can see how many people came to our landing page, and then we can see how many people signed up, and we can see how many people gave us their information. So there's some conversion rates that we understand. There's a lot more data there that, I mean, technically, I don't even think we use all the data yet that we possibly could. And that's all these things that we're trying to build out, like our email sequences and that kind of thing. So, that kind of leads us to the next part is if I wasn't doing seminars right away, I'd also be doing webinars. Now, there's a difference between seminars and webinars. And it can sometimes be a differences, the advisor. How good is the advisor with working with people? Are they good at working with people online? Some aren't, some are. Yesterday, I just brought on someone with $950,000. It took 5 meetings. It took a long time in comparison because we're having to build that rapport. Like he's trying to trust me over the internet. It just took a little bit longer. But once the trust was there, then all of a sudden, here's my statements, here's everything. Let's move it now. And Jackie on my team loves working with him, because at the beginning she was like, I don't know. He's, questioning a lot. I'm like, it's because he's trying to build the trust. He wants to, be comfortable with what he's doing. And one thing that I do on the webinar side of things is I take my time with them. I want to give them what they're asking for first. Another guy we met with yesterday, $10 million. He's like, look, I've talked with a bunch of you guys, and all you guys, say you're going to talk about taxes, but then you just spin right back into the investments. I'm like, I won't do that. Here, let's just talk about taxes. The funny thing is, at the end of the meeting, he's the one bringing up investments and how he hates his advisor and how he wants to move and he wants to talk more about his investments. I'm like, dude, we'll talk more about the investments. That's not what you asked me to talk about today. So why don't we do this? Let's finalize the tax side of things, and then we'll move it in the investments next meeting. Does that sound good? Yeah. Okay, so what happened there? Built this trust. And that's why the webinars are so good too, because you're getting in front of people with good quality money that don't want to come into the seminars or don't want to come into the in-person meetings and that kind of thing. They just want to do everything over the internet. Mike in my office brought on a client in California that has about $1 million, or that we originally got to work with $1 million. She's got $5 million. Now she just brought over the rest. Okay, so there's, it's huge, right? So the webinar part though is a little bit different because we're not doing like seminar marketing where we do like a $2,500 into the ad spend or $2,000 or $1,500 in ad spend in one, in a specific target date. With the webinars, we spread that money out over the course of the month, and then we just have meetings just drip into our calendar. So it's a little bit different.
Yeah, it's a lot. I would say, I shouldn't say a little different. I mean, there's a big difference there because, and I have this conversation a lot too. Is like Seminars, you know, if you spend $2,500, you're gonna have 50% show rate. Out of that 50%, you should have 5 to 10 appointments, right, of the people that show, and you can
Per night.
calculate
Per
that,
night.
right? With webinars, we do a slow drip, and it's we spend $400 a week, and it just continues to run. You have webinars every week, and the thing is, it's more mental than anything, right? Because people are looking at that and be like, man, it's been a week, I haven't gotten an appointment yet. What happened? All right, well, hey, let's write it out. Let's make some adjustments. All right, next week, how many appointments did you get? Oh, I got 3. Okay, great. So it's like it ebbs and flows with the targeting and the retargeting and all that. So there's consistency there, but then there's also off weeks or whatever, where a seminar you can kind of like, all right, I know August 25 I have a class. That means I should have 25 people there, which means I should book 10 appointments, or 12 households. So maybe you get like 6 appointments or whatever. Webinars, it's every week, right? So you should get 1 to 3 appointments roughly a week. And then it's the
Based
whole
on the ad
appointment
spend,
process. Yep. Yep. And then from there, it's all based on appointments, right? You got to, and that's a learning curve too. I think we've realized that with working advisors and virtual is like the process is different. You can't hard pitch a product. You got to take your time, build that trust, like Vince just said. It's a different game, but once you figure the game out, it's very, very lucrative. So like, I think the point of this is like, now that Vince has kind of figured all that out, if you were to start that practice over and focus a lot on webinars, you almost have that virtual practice set up, right? There's just a learning curve there that makes that difference.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. The seminars are more instant gratification. I think where you go do the seminar, you'll get 5 or 6 appointments that night. Do another seminar, get another 5 or 6 appointments. But if you break it down, like eventually you'll see that you'll get 1 or 2 clients out of that, right? And you're not going to get 12 clients, and that's where I think people just get a little anxious on the webinar side because initially it's a slow start. And that's just because we're not throwing $2,500 right into it, right? So there's a little bit slower start, but there's a reason why we do a slower start, at least the way I like it, because I just want quality appointments. I don't want just like anyone just going to a seminar. And we've actually built out this Women in Money one that she came to us because she had some other digital agency build out this campaign, get like 100 people to register, 20 people attend. She's like, I got a lot of attendees, but then the appointments just suck. I'm like, well, I probably know why. She's like, why? I'm like, because there's nothing in between. Like they're signing up for something, and then she's offering a 15-minute appointment, and it just, or a 15-minute like strategy call. And the reason why she had to do the 15-minute strategy call is because she's trying to save her time on her calendar and weed out all the crappy people. Yep. Or they're not crappy people. She's trying to weed out the people that won't work for her practice. Okay. Yep. So sorry, I don't mean that they're crappy people. They're not a good fit. And so that's why the way we do it for our webinar is we want people to go through a filtration process to make sure they would be a better fit for us. And there are some people that squeak through that filtration process, but for the most part, it's all good quality. So, if I were to start all over again, number 1, seminars, number 2, webinars would be my top 2 for sure. And you can go either way with that. It all kind of depends on how you want to. Like if I were just to start a virtual practice all over, webinars for sure. Absolutely. If I want to do, more in-person stuff, Mike in my office, he's probably better at that in-person, although that client from California was a webinar. So it just, another client came, 3 million. Actually, a lot of his biggest clients came from the webinar.
That's so funny. I mean, I created a report for one of our advisors recently on this too, because he was doing webinars and seminars with us, and he wanted to stop the webinar side of the marketing because the closing process was just too long, right? And he was just thinking it wasn't working. And so I ran this report. We ran it through our database to get the average assets that these clients have. His webinar was bringing in 30 to 35 million. That's his appointment set. That's how many people he was in front of. His seminar was 17 to 22 million. So like, if you just look at that difference, like the webinar, even though it's longer drips, it takes a little bit more time. But once it's cultivated and running, the assets.
Can I just stop you for a second?
Way outweigh that. Yeah,
Hold on. So what time frame was this over?
6 months.
Okay, so he's been in front of, what'd you say? Like over almost 60 million
Yep. Yeah, I think it was 50
or 50 million?
Yeah,
55
I
million?
think at a low end it was like 50 million. High end it was like 56 million in 6 months.
Okay. It's a lot of money.
Yeah, and those are just
okay.
that's appointment sets, not who attended the seminar or who attended the webinar. Those were legit appointment sets. Yeah, it's a lot of money, but what I'm trying to say is like if we look at the numbers,
Sorry.
yeah, webinars way outweigh like higher net worth, all of that compared to seminars. And the funny thing is, I think it was based out of 20 or 25 appointments each. So 25 in the webinar and 25 in the seminar. It was like break even literally on what he had from what I could track. And so if you just look at the numbers on the average prospect you get into, it's funny because webinars just dominate seminars. It's just a mental game with advisors on weighting the weighting game due to the funnel that we put people through. And so it's funny because I recommend everyone to run webinars, and like I think everyone should do it. You just have to wait just a couple months, and that's the hard part, right? Like, and the funny thing is, like, another advisor, I mean, he closed his first person, right? He got one appointment, closed him right away, and I was like, man, that's awesome. And then the second week he was mad because he only got one more appointment, didn't close that guy, and I was like, well, I mean, that's great you closed the guy, but just understand like this is like we're growing something that's like longevity, like. If you did this for 6 months, 12 months, just imagine the pipeline that you're going to have. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, and so like if you're starting out and you want instant gratification, obviously seminars are the way to go. But if you're building longevity, I'm going to swear by it. I think the webinar funnel, if done right, is way going to outweigh any of the seminar stuff that you do long term.
I will say that just to put some caution in the wind here on the webinar side of things, like if you're just starting out, if you're just like an annuity guy or just an AUM guy or whatever, you have to be careful because when you're doing the webinar stuff, people have found you on the internet, right? So they've probably already done a lot of research on the internet. So if you just come in and wield you're trying to sell an annuity right off the bat, you're done.
Thanks. Yeah.
Right. So we worked with this one advisor. We put him in front of $110 million. He was trying to do, like, I remember he was doing, working on some prospect, had $2 million. He's putting $1.5 million annuity in front of them. I'm like, what are you doing? It's too much. He's like, what? No. You know, they want safe money, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, you're going to lose them. And he lost most of them because he would always try to throw too big of an annuity in front of him. We work with another advisor that's doing our seminars. He's doing well. His biggest problem, they told me, is that we're getting in front of too many high net worth prospects, too many people with $1 million or more. I'm like, that's a problem? And the problem for him is he just does annuities. And I'm like, okay, so walk me through your process. Walk me through like your meeting process. So we walk through it. I'm like, okay, and then walk me what you're trying to sell them. Well, I'm trying to put, I put 70% of their money into annuity. I'm like, what? That's too much. The people that have higher net worth, here's their story every single time, almost every single time, except for the guy yesterday. They want their money, meaning they want their income. They don't want to touch their principal. They want tax efficiency. Okay. So basically and then they want growth without losing much. Okay. Well, unfortunately, annuity can't really give you a lot of growth. That's all right. They can give you income, guaranteed income, but it usually dips into the principal. May not be so much the case now since interest rates have come back a little bit. But that's when you show them those illustrations, that's what they look at. They just see the principal, they're just going on the way down, and that scares them. And so that's just trying to help out you annuity guys out there. Don't do that. When I use an annuity, I don't even show them an illustration. I just show them here's what annuity does, here's what it's going to help you do, okay, within your portfolio. But I don't even show them an illustration. I just do a diagram. Here's how the annuity works. We should get somewhere between 4 to 6% return on average. Can't lose anything. Downfall is it ties up our money for 10 years, but we can still get 10% out each year as a free withdrawal. Do you still like that? Yep. Okay. Well, then we'll put a portion of your money into that. Okay. Moving on. Sorry, I went off on a tangent there. I just know on the webinar side of things, I've seen people struggle because we are getting, or even on the seminars, we get in front of good high net worth or good quality prospects, but then we shoot ourselves in the foot
every time.
And to be honest, I used to do that too. I did that 6 years ago, doing the dinner seminars. Someone with a lot of money comes in. I used to do a 50-50. 50% goes in annuity, 50% goes in AUM. It just doesn't work. Now, it might work better, or it does work better or easier, because it usually makes more sense for the people that have usually 500,000 or less, somewhere around there. And because they really fear running out of income more so than money. Whereas, the people that have 1 or 2 million, they say they fear running out of money, but at the end of the day, they can withstand a market downturn. So it's just one of those things that, over time I learned what to do and how to understand it. But so anyway, let's get off my tangent here. Seminars and webinars, number 1 and number 2, best things to do. The next part though, because this kind of feeds into it, is email.
Yeah, and we can go into that a little bit more. Because email's huge when it feeds in what he's saying, feeds into the seminars and the webinar side of things. Because what happens when they come to your class and they don't set an appointment? What happens when they go to a webinar or they request, like in our funnel, they request an ebook first, but maybe don't sign up for the webinar. Go to the webinar, don't set an appointment. What happens there? 98% of advisors I talk to have this huge database of prospects that they've accumulated for all their years in business. And I'm like, what are you doing with it? I'm like, well, nothing. It's just sitting on my computer. And I was like, literally, if we send them, and Vince wrote a very, very well done, re-engagement email drip where we send out email every other day to these people. If you're on our B2B, our mastermind emails, you understand how many emails Vince likes to send out. And the reason behind all that is you're re-engaging these people, bringing them back into the system. And it's just another way that you already spent money on these leads. How do you take advantage of them? Email is a great way to do it.
So we got to be careful with just email though, or just saying email, because there is a bit of finesse to it, right? You can use, there's companies out there that you can hire that will you can have them send newsletters, emails. You can use a company that has really nice landing pages and email content. But there is a method to get it to work. And the method is this. It's actually simple, but the method is this. You have to give, then ask. That's it. So give something for free, give something for free, give something for free, and then ask. Now, usually the ask can't be an appointment, okay? You can't just jump to the appointment, and that's where people go wrong. I was just talking to Josh about this tax company, they have this RMD calculator, or this tax saving calculator for doing Roth conversions, and their first email that goes out after they do this RMD calculator sends them the guide or their whatever their calculation is, and in it just says, "Hey, do you want to meet with a professional? Here's why you should meet with a professional. Click here to set up an appointment." Well, geez, we didn't even get technically you didn't get the permission yet. You just gave them some information. They don't know that they should meet. You got to give them more free information. Hey, did you fall in this range? Read this next, right? And then, or go to this webinar. So that's what we do with our email format. Same thing. Download the guide or go to my webinar, and then I can ask for the permission for the appointment in the webinar. Okay, and that's why we do it that way. Now, every now and then, you might strike it where you get someone right at the right time. That 0.1% of the time, sending out an email, you'll get somebody. But the majority of the time, you're not going to get somebody unless you kind of keep moving them along through a funnel like we're doing, where they get a guide, go to a webinar, then book an appointment. At the same time, it's going to benefit you and your time too, because you're making them go through a process so that when they do book an appointment, you set that expectation, what that appointment's going to look like, versus, hey, just book a time. Hey, you download this guide. Let's book some time with me, right? Like, hey, you download this Social Security guide. Book some time with me. Okay. Hey, yeah, I don't have any money, but I want to know how to take my Social Security. Like, that's how that usually goes. If you're just like, hey, booking a time with me. Well, people that will use and abuse that will use and abuse it, and it's not the right people you want to work with.
Yeah, it's so funny because like we obviously know all the systems out there, and like if I'm just selling you an appointment, right, and trying to make money off of it, those are just great ways to do it, right? Like Smart Asset, it's just a great way to do it. I give you a survey, you put your information in. All right, well now maybe you want an appointment because it draws your attention. All right, I'm going to ship it off to 3 other advisors. They take it, try to call and get them on the phone. I think like Dave Ramsey, same sort of style leads, right? Like he does all this content, people ask for some information, and then he just sells those leads to someone else. He's not trying to grow his practice. Smart Asset's not trying to grow their private practice. So like with everything that we've talked about, right? If you're going to do it over again, in a sense, you have to do it right for it to work. But like with emails, it's also very crucial that you're providing value first before you ask for anything, and make them go through steps.
I think the holdup is writing all that content.
Well,
Yeah, sorry. I think the holdup there, or what it keeps, like they write the content or they try to write the content. A lot of times they write the content in a way that's too salesy though too. Or a lot of times I see like content that's market update. It's like, who gives a, like, how many market updates I could go get? Like, no one wants to know about market updates. This hot stock tip. Okay, yeah, all right.
S&P's up this
All
month.
right, so all right, so definitely have to do email because otherwise you're just letting all those leads go to waste. So anyone that comes to our seminars, webinars, or registers, they will fall into our email funnel somehow if they do not book an appointment. The next best thing that I would focus on is SEO marketing, so search engine optimization. And then Josh and I were kind of talking about this because I don't think I've done search engine optimization correctly. I've tried, okay, and I was number one for a long time for financial advisor, Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I just didn't get good results. Like this is 5-6 years ago, but I just didn't get not good results. Like it was cool to be number one, and there's ways that you do it. You have to do YouTube videos. You do other social media content. You do articles, blog articles. Make sure you're using the right words, keywords to pop up for that. Be number one. Now I got there. Okay, great, but I did it wrong. I'll admit I did it wrong, and I need to go back and try it out.
Yeah.
I did it wrong because I did not have the right sequence in place. I did it where, hey, SEO, come to my come to my website, and I just said schedule a consultation, right? And I got some people to book appointments with me. Oh, they sucked. The appointments sucked. And here I am preaching how we want those appointments, right? So what did I do wrong? I didn't get them to go through my normal process now, go through these steps. And so now I know how to fix it. I know how to do it right. So we're going to go back to work on SEO, which I know Addie is helping me with right now. I have Jordan rebuilding my entire website with the SEO, search engine optimization in mind. So I'm excited about that. What's your take on
Awesome.
SEO?
I mean, I really think SEO, and I mean more so like just content in general it's gonna be, I think, the future of marketing. Like I think paid is always great, right? Because you're gonna get in front of eyeballs as quickly as possible. But when you start looking again long term, right? Like if you plan to have your practice for 5, 10, 15, 20 more years, SEO or content is the future I would think in the digital scape for success. If everything's done right, there's a good way to do it and there's just a really bad way to do it. And so like if you start producing content, obviously even us like with the podcast and like what we're doing here, there's some podcasts that we do and they don't do good. Like we don't have a lot of views or a lot of listens, but we look at the data, we adjust, amend, and that just grows down the road. Now, if you're going to start Googling advisor marketing, the goal with all our content is that our podcast pops up, our YouTube videos pop up, our blogs and stuff like that pop up. I think if you're going to do it, expect you're playing the long-term game. Don't shoot for immediate success. Like, don't try to get appointments right off the bat. Like,
Right.
Otherwise, you're just not going to get good quality appointments. But you build it out, you set it up right. Again, provide value first before you ask for anything. And long term, you'll have really good success where maybe you're not even spending money on ads anymore, or you're not spending money on marketing. It's just all organic traffic coming to your site, coming to your videos, asking for appointments. I've seen a couple advisors on this that have been in the industry for a while, doing the content for a very long time, and they've actually sold their practice and just focused on producing content because they were making money off just that. And so like think of that as a large scale. Like if you can not only get clients for your firm, but also get paid by YouTube for getting clients, like wouldn't that be the best of both worlds? I mean, so I think it's the future game. Like long term, the hard part is you got to stick with it. You got to ignore the videos, ignore the views, and just start producing good quality content. I shouldn't say ignore, learn from them and adapt, right? Adjust and make
Right.
changes.
I know the funny thing is, like, as we're talking about this, there was 12 years ago when I was working at the FMO trying to recruit advisors. I was trying to recruit, I call up this one guy. I was like, yeah, I don't know if I'm still going to do much financial planning. I'm focusing more on my website. I'm like, what website's that? He's like, Seeking Alpha. I'm like, oh, okay. Seeking Alpha is huge now. It's huge. Before it was just like this, kind of like this random blog site in a way that people could put stuff up, and now it's huge. I don't remember his name. I should, I just remembered that. I'm like, I remember calling that guy, trying to recruit him. Give me your annuity contract. A lot of good that did. So, all right. So the fifth one, we don't have a lot of time for. We're running out of time, so I'm going to save it. I'm going to save it till our next one to let you know what I think about it, because it's a big one. It's probably the most expensive one out there. It's the most talked about one probably right now. I'm going to say to hold off on it, but I'll let you know what that is on the fifth one. I think you should do it when you're fully established, really well established. We have well over 100 million in assets, and I still don't want to do it yet. I still don't think it's cost effective. So, maybe when we have $1 billion under management, maybe it'll then become cost effective. But right now, it's not. So we'll save that for the next round. So if I were to start all over again, seminars, webinars, email, radio, and I'll leave the next one out till next time. So as always, if you like listening to our podcasts, please like or subscribe and follow. If you want to go see our YouTube, go to youtube.com and go search Mastermind Advisor. You'll find our YouTube channel. And if you have any questions or you want to reach out to us, go to mastermindadvisor.com and you can schedule some time with us. All right. Until next time, Josh, thanks again. Always great getting your input.
It was a blast.